Over the course of a few years, he kept coming back to the church every time he needed help. And this is his story. His name was Frank. He came from Virginia. He and his dad weren't speaking to one another any longer. He didn't have the kind of skills that he could even hold a job. You could give him a job because you wanted to help him, but he didn't have the social skills to hold on to a job, so he's always in need of money. He was always coming to the church. And one Sunday, a family from another congregation where I had served showed up in the congregation, and they wanted to take my wife and I to lunch. And so they left to the restaurant, and they were going to save a seat for me. And like all of you who are pastors, at the end, we were locking the church up. And I see Frank get out of his old beat-up car, and I began to pray, Lord, please, not today. I can't deal with Frank today. I don't want to talk to Frank. I don't want to see Frank. And he came up to me and he said, preacher, that's what they call you in North Carolina. Preacher, I need to see you. And I said, well, Frank, I can't see you. Friends from out of town are holding a seat for me at the restaurant. I tell you what, tomorrow is Monday. It's a national holiday, and so the office is closed. You come back on Tuesday, and I'll help you. He said, no, I need to see you today. And I said, Frank, I can't see you today. And I got in my car and I left. When I got home, one of my daughters was watching for me out of the house. And when she saw me pull in the driveway, she came out of the house and she was still shaking. She said, Daddy, there's a man that came to the church today. He came to the parsonage today. He scared me to death. I didn't know whether to open the door and talk to him or not. And he said he would come back and see you tomorrow. And I said, I know, his name is Frank. I told him to come back on Tuesday and I'll help him. The next morning, on Monday morning, there's a knocking on my door. And the knocking does not stop until I get to the front door. And when I open the front door, there's Frank. And he said, Preacher, I need to see you. And so I said, come on into the parsonage. And we sat down. And he said, I had to see you today because I needed to let you know that I got a job in Emporia, Virginia. And I got to be there first thing tomorrow morning for my job. He said, my dad's trying to call me. I'm trying to call my dad. We don't know what really to say to one another, but at least we're trying to call one another. And he said, but I had to come see you because, now I want to tell you, just like Frank said it to me. He said, I came to see you because I have met Jesus and he has saved my soul. That's just how simply he said it. We don't use that kind of language in the church any longer, but that's just how Frank said it. And then he reached into his pocket, and I never have been able to roll up all my bills. Have you seen people that do that? He had a wad of bills, and he counts out $1,468 and some odd cents. He said, because that's his tithe to our church, because we've been his church. When I got in the pulpit on Sunday morning, I said to my congregation that Frank had shamed me. I thought I had a front row seat on what his life was going to look like for the rest of his life, for the rest of his days in this world. But behold, the old had passed away and the new had come. The power of the Spirit had emerged, and he even wanted to give his tithe to the church. And I said, and so not only has Frank shamed me, but he has shamed us all. Because we come to this congregation week after week after week, giving our little bit to support missions, and we have forgotten we are the mission.